everyone. This is Steve Rozenberg with Mynd Property Management, and today I'm joined with my good friend Trevor Steadman, who is the portfolio manager in the Reno operations. Trevor, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Steve, for having me as always.
So, Trevor, now that there's new laws enabling people to vape and smoke marijuana, obviously in Nevada, as a landlord, are there certain things and ways that I can restrict residents from not doing that in my rental property? And is it smoking all in general, or are there certain things that I can ban specifically?
Yeah, that's a great question. And really, one, a lot of investors are asking themselves to protect their property. The difficulty is that we're up against $1 billion industry that's taking each state systematically through the US. So realistically, in the next 2 to 3 years, I'd imagine that marijuana will be repealed as a class 1 drug, and that pretty much everything recreational will be released throughout the entire US. So definitely something that investors need to keep an eye on. And these are how I think personally you can combat those problems. One, having strict lease provisions. Saying someone's not allowed to smoke in the unit doesn't cut it anymore. You need to specifically call out the use of tobacco, the use of marijuana, and even the use of vape pens, which is very popular within the millennial generation, who are now renting for the most part before they're going to go and buy a home. Also, have a real conversation with your tenant. Say, hey guys, look, I understand, this is a property, I'm renting it to you. These are my guidelines, set some standards, set some boundaries, so that when you do discover something or you stumble upon a violation like marijuana use in a rental property, you can have, hey, look, I gave you a heads up. You've obviously ignored my request. Now there are repercussions. And then the number 3, have a professional lined up to treat the problem if you do end up with a situation that does include marijuana or vaping residue on your walls and your paint and your carpet, just so you could be ready in case you have to deal with something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I was going to ask you, that is, a lot of people do not realize that when people are vaping inside of a property, that is a chemical that is going up on the walls and onto the ceiling. And, maybe in small trace amounts, you may not notice it, but at a larger scale, for long periods of time, I would imagine that residue, would affect the color and the texture of the paint, as well as maybe there's not really a lot of data that shows you the long-term effects and possibly people moving into the house after that. So I'm curious if there's any type of special cleaning you have to do, or is it a full repaint? And maybe people don't know that yet, the answer.
Yeah, and it really, I think the results currently are kind of still in discovery mode. We haven't had this chemical throughout an entire industry introduced in all different types of materials, from sheetrock to tile to carpet to padding to insulation. The problem is that THC is an oil, just like tobacco has an oil. And so when it saturates into the sheetrock, you could have a couple inches of saturation, which at the end of the day, painting, it's not really going to help. And so that's the biggest fear for investors, is having to re-sheetrock a whole house because you had a pot farm growing in your rental property, or just heavy usage by a tenant. It's really kind of terrifying stuff to have to deal with. Definitely something a deposit's not going to take care of.
Yeah. Have you had any situations in the rental properties where you've had residents that are in there, maybe whether it's through marijuana usage, or that is a quite extensive and expensive remediation that the owners now have to bear that cost?
We actually have. Recently, back in the end of 2018, we onboarded a new owner who came to us for our professional opinion of the situation they were in. They had a tenant living in a rental property for multiple years. They never did inspections. They never checked on it. And so when the tenant decided to give notice and move out, they walked into a property that just reeked of marijuana. And unfortunately, they had to file an insurance claim against their homeowner's policy. They had to hire a remediation company, just like you would do for mold, fire, water loss, to do something that actually treats the odor that resided in the home. It was a multitude of air purification, using certain chemicals to treat the paint on the wall. I really can't say that property was 100% back to where it was when we gave it back to that tenant. And unfortunately, that's the risk that the owner took when not keeping a tight eye on the resident.
Wow. And it's definitely a moving target, because we don't know what it's going to do over time. And that's why you got to stay up on the laws, and you got to know more about that. It sounds like you've done a lot of work on your side already, getting involved in it. If somebody wants to talk to you more in Reno and know more about, this situation or about having Mynd manage their properties, how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, definitely. My office is right here on 1575 DeLucci, right by the Nettlewood Mall in Reno. My number is 775-335-0124. Give me a call, see if we can get you out of a pickle.
That's great. And if you'd like to know more about real estate, you can join our Facebook group. It's the Mastermind, MYND, Mastermind Real Estate Investment Club. And there you can engage, have conversations, talk with other like-minded investors. Also, I encourage you to subscribe to our podcast show. It's the Mindful Investor. And there you'll get people that are novice investors all the way up to the upper level echelon. And we talk about their successes as well as their failures and really find out what makes them successful and how they continue to do it. So thank you for watching. On behalf of Trevor and myself, thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to keep the conversation going, join our Facebook group.